Hello, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I like to drink coffee and talk about books. Today's video is a tag video. I found out about this tag from Melinda at a Web of Stories. The creator of this tag is Hilary at Book Bustle. So I'm going to link both of their videos down below. And if you're not following Melinda or Hilary, then you need to do so. I can't wait to watch more of Hilary's content because she talks about books while she's preparing food. And she's got this very calming kind of presence. And she's a new to YouTuber. So I am looking forward to seeing more of her stuff. But let's get into this tag. There are 10 prompts in the reader profile tag. So here are my answers. Question number 1. What for you makes a good book? It's kind of hard to put that into words without rambling on too much, but to give a quick answer to this question, for me, a book is good when it speaks to the larger human experience. When the author is able to create a story and create characters that speak to the broader scope of humanity. Number 2, what are you currently reading? So the physical book I'm currently reading right now is The Haunting of Velquid by Gwendolyn Keist. I'm also listening to an audiobook right now that is titled Romantic Outlaws. I think it's The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley. And I'm really enjoying both of those books. I'm so sorry, my nose itches. So the third question, what's the last book you didn't finish and why? So the last book that I did not finish is Where Thy Dark Eye Glances, Queering Edgar Allan Poe. And this is edited by Steve Berman. And this is not a hard DNF. I will go back to it at some point. But the reason I did not finish it when I started it is because I thought just from the title that this was going to be a collection of scholarly essays about LGBTQ themes in the works of Edgar Allan Poe, but instead it is a reimagining or retelling of some of Poe's works. And I just wasn't in the mood for that. So that's why I did not finish it, but I will be going back to it. The next question is what obscure, can I even talk today? What obscure book do you wish other people would read? And I want to highlight a poetry collection titled I Am Not Your Final Girl by Claire C. Holland. And this book is where she takes the stories of final girls, or even in some cases, girls that were not quite final girls. And she writes the poetry from their points of view. And I really wish more people would read it. So now that I'm talking about it, maybe you will. The next question is, what's the longest book you ever read? And I'm not 100% sure that this is the longest book I've ever read, but I feel like it might be. And that is It by Stephen King. And my copy of this has, let me see, I want to make sure I'm giving the right page count because I can't remember if there is any like afterward stuff that wouldn't technically count. Let's see. Okay. I should have done this before the video, but you get to hear me and see me, I guess, flipping through stuff. 1090 pages in my edition. And I think that's the longest book I ever read. At least it's the longest book I've read recently, even though I just graduated with a master's in English in December of last year. I don't think any of the books that I read were 1090 pages. So I think it's the winner there. The next question is, if you could have a dinner party with 5 fictional characters, who would they be? So I might have cheated a little bit on my first answer here because I chose King Lear and his daughters from Shakespeare's play King Lear. I would like to have a conversation with him and with each of them and see if I could maybe work things out for them so that it doesn't end up in tragedy, right? Um, I have lofty goals with that hope, I think. The next character I picked is Beverly Marsh, and that is, of course, one of Stephen King's characters, Beverly from It. The second I chose is another King character, and that is Carrie White from Carrie. The third guest I have is Jesse Burlingame from another King book, Gerald's Game. And then my final pick is Dolores Claiborne from, of course, the book Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. And I have some special reasons to choose, especially Beverly, Carrie, Jesse, and Dolores. They are 4 characters that have meant a lot to me over the years, and especially the past couple of years, because I did write my thesis in grad school on those 4 women. And I'm preparing for a trip to Chicago next week to present um, a condensed version of my thesis about these 4 women. So I would love to be able to sit down and have dinner with them and get their perspectives on their stories in a very, real kind of way. The next question is 5 books you'd want if stranded on a desert island. So, one of my picks that I want if I'm stranded on a desert island is It. As you can tell, this book had quite an impact on me. I have a lot to say about this book, and I feel like it could give me food for thought over the, whole time I'm stranded. It might be the only food I get, right? I didn't even mean to make that pun. The next book I would like to have if I were stranded on a deserted island would be Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It's one of my favorite classics. I feel like every time I reread this, I find something that is new to me. Again, I see it through a different lens. And I think this is perfect, especially because a lot of it deals with themes of isolation, right? So that would be quite relatable if I were to be alone on a desert island, right? Okay. So the next one I would like to have with me on a desert island would be the works of Edgar Allan Poe. He is one of my favorite authors of all time. I actually have a life-size Poe over there. I don't want to try to turn this camera around for you to see it. But anyway, I will put a picture up of that or something. But I have a life size Poe. And what a lot of people term over there, I'm like, you can't see it. But I also have a desk dedicated to Poe. Some people call it my Poe shrine, whatever. But yeah, I would definitely take Poe on a desert island. And I feel like I'm maybe cheating a little bit with the next one, but I can prove that I have these books already. So this is a collection that's already been put together in a book, but it's going to offer me a lot of stuff to read. So this is The Age of Romanticism. I would like to have this one on a desert island with me so I can read romantic literature and poetry and essays. And then the final book I would like to have with me on a desert island is The Necessary Shakespeare. And this is edited by David Bevington. And That way I can have King Lear, which is my favorite Shakespeare play, along with a lot of other Shakespeare plays and sonnets too. So I'd have plenty of reading material. The next question is one book you could not put down. And this was really hard to pick, but I chose House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. This book is so good. It's so good. It is about this young woman who really needs money. And in this society where she's living, one, excuse me, one of the ways that you can earn money is by becoming a blood maid for an aristocratic family. And that is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, where you go and you live in this, castle, I guess it would be, or this house, right? Specifically for our main character, the House of Hunger. And you serve as a blood maid, which means you are literally allowing yourself to be bled in order to feed the, in this case, a countess. And this is such a good book. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the gothic elements. I loved the story. It was just so compelling. And I just flew through it. And recommend House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson every chance I get. The next question is uh-oh. 5 books or authors you will never read. Now, never may be a harsh word. And if my best friend watches this video, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. And I love that you love some of these authors, but I don't think I would love them. And I don't really think I'll ever read from them. I'm so sorry. Okay, so and anybody else, I'm so sorry. If you feel like you can convince me to pick up some of these, hey, then feel free to do so. So the 5 authors that I at this point say I would never read from. The first one is Sarah J. Maas. The second one is Rebecca Yarros. The third is Colleen Hoover. The fourth is James Patterson. And the fifth is Richard Lehman. And Kelsey, if you watch this, I'm so sorry. Kelsey at Slime and Slashers. I'm so sorry. But I think those are 5 authors that I would never read from. Okay, let's move on to the 10th and final question. If you're still with me, right? If I haven't offended you so much that you have like unsubscribed and you never want to see my face again. Maybe I will get stranded on a desert island, right? And then you won't have to see my face again. So the 10th question is, if you were to write a book, what would it be about? Well, I have actually one book that was published a few years ago. I cannot even remember, maybe 2018, 2019. And that book is titled Mountains and Melancholy, a collection of poems about life with depression. So I did have a book published. Now, unfortunately, I went with a small publishing company that went under not too long after my book was published. So it's not really in print anymore. You may be able to find some old used copies on Amazon or something. I'm not sure. But I just haven't had the time or energy to try to get it with another publishing company. And I also have mixed feelings about it because I was in a very different place when I wrote those poems, and my feelings and my emotions and my experiences then were absolutely valid. But it can be hard for me sometimes to look back at that time. And I think that's another reason why I haven't really tried to get it back out there. And I feel like if I were to write another book right now, as I'm thinking about it, I think my interest would be in writing a book that takes a scholarly or academic look at the horror genre. I would like to show the world at large, and particularly certain circles of academia, that horror is indeed a valid genre, that it's worthy of scholarly discussion. I would love to do something along those lines. So I thank you so much for watching. If you watch this, consider yourself tagged. I'm just tagging everybody who sees this and wants to participate. So I would love it too if you would hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you won't miss a video from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.